Okay, Lo. So I just wanted to rant about some reflections I have around interacting with agents, because I see a lot of things happening in the ecosystem where we're kind of trying to build out these like super agents that just magically, with a tiny prompt, is able to work for 30 minutes and then output exactly what we want them to do. And one thing is actually being able to do that, like technically. Another thing that I've started reflecting on is, do we even want that? So first, let's talk about, will they even be able to do that? So if you think about you in your company and your context, like your context is a lot of past experience, and this affects your decision making and what you want to produce, right? What's a good work for you? But in addition to that, you're attending, hopefully not too many meetings, but you do attend them. You have documents you write and read, messages you write and read, issues you write and read, and you also have face-to-face conversations, and there's a lot of other types of context that affects your decision making and the produce or the product that is your work, right? And then on the other side, you have this agent, and the agent doesn't know anything by default. It knows it knows what you give it as input, and then we've started like building up like a lot of these tools to let it go and collect context. And basically what I'm trying to show here is that you have your context, a set of decisions you think is good decisions, and an end product that you think is like good work. And what you're doing with your single prompt to the agent is to fire it off, and then it needs to collect relevant context. For example, it can have tools to go and grab transcriptions from all the meetings, documents, messages, and issues, and build up its context. And this context needs to align with yours, right? So that when the agent runs, it makes the decisions that make sense to you, and it produces a product that makes sense to you, right? And this is incredibly difficult to do. Like it's even when you have a colleague for like 2 years and you hand something off to them, you're in the same meetings, you're in the same conversations, even then they might make different decisions than you. And then the product they create is not what you would have wanted, right? So this is just fundamentally incredibly tricky to do. But the thing I'm thinking about, which is even more important, is that now it's not even another human that makes decisions and creates the product. And where does that leave you? Like, if all you do is, one thing is like orchestrating agents, I think that makes a lot of sense. But if every agent makes all the decisions and produces the output without you having anything to do with it, where's your ownership in your work? Where's your growth as a professional if everything is just done by an agent? So this is what I'm been like playing around with. Like, what is the actual agentic experience if you don't treat the agent interaction as like one super agent, but you rather think about them as very scoped contributions to your work so that you still make the decisions. You have complete control of the actual output and the product, and you still feel ownership and grow as a human using the agents. So let me just explain this first. So this is an app where I can choose to create a task. When I do that, I can insert a title, I can write a description, like very much like linear. And then if I were to like mention some repository here, it will be listed here. And then I can start assigning agents. So I can assign like a research agent, a prototype agent, a plan agent, a Kanban agent, like all of these like very scoped tasks and deterministic outputs. So if we go, I can remove this one. We can go and look at one of these. So in this case, there was a task to just remove some comments in a code base, which is a very simple task. And I created this from a linear issue. So it has a reference to that. And it mentions a repository, which you can see down here. And it's already created a pull request that we can see here. But when I started this task, I chose the pull request agent because I know that this is a simple task and we don't have to do a lot of other stuff for me to like learn or understand the problem or whatever. So when it created a pull request, it didn't actually create the pull request on the repository. It just prepared all the code in a sandbox, created a commit, and suggested the description of the pull request so that I could go in and I could review what it had done and see if I actually agreed with this. And in this case, I did agree with it, and I approved the pull request, which actually created the pull request. So I own this process end to end, and I feel responsible for the thing that I actually put out to my colleagues, and the agent didn't just do it on its own, right? So it's coming from me still, but I didn't do the grunt work of removing these comments in this case. So if we move forward, this is another task that was actually generated by the linear issues agent. So maybe I can find it. I think it was, I think it was down here. Let's look at this one first. So I was going to do some agentic testing, set up this repository. And before I actually did that, I ran through some research first. And the point is that having an agent running for 30 minutes or like 5 minutes or even just a minute, like you want to detach from the agent, right? You don't want to sit there and watch it work. So when I did the research here, it would go off and do its thing and I would go and do something else. But then it went through, it did its research. I read through the whole thing and evaluated it, made sure that I kind of understood what it was doing. And then I would approve that. And then I chose that, okay, based on this research, there's some different options here and so on and so on. So I went in and said, let's create a plan for this like specific thing. And it goes in, it creates the plan, and I'm going in and reading this and so on and so on and so on. And then I would see that, okay, there's a lot of complexity here. And I want to make sure that the agent doesn't assume anything. So I chose the clarify agent, which then goes in and creates, let's see here, created a few questions that I answered. In the meantime, when I came to one of the questions, I had to ask it what it was for. I will get my answer here. But at the end of the day, I answered all the questions, and that's just added context to the task, right? And then at the end, I didn't choose it to actually go and do something. I chose to create linear issues. So this was so complex that I rather wanted it to go and just create linear tickets for each of the things that I wanted to do with this project. And then one of these things is this one, where I'm grabbing that ticket, I'm doing some research to make sure that the agent has all the details it needs from the repo and everything that makes sense. I will go in and ask it to create a plan so that I understood what it was trying to do, what we were trying to implement, and so on. And then due to the complexity of the actual implementation, I chose to create a Kanban for it, where again I can see in detail like what exactly does it wanna do here. And then I chose pull request, where I now can actually evaluate what it did here. And And then if I click approve here, it's actually going to create that pull request. And this is how everything works. And the thing I've noticed is that no task is the same. No workflow is the same for every task. So instead of having like one big agent that collects a lot of context, that's not the same context that you have, makes a lot of decisions about what it should do to find the relevant thing to do and how to do it. And then the worst part is that it's actually outputting something to your colleagues, even without you having like given your stamp on it, even you understanding what it did or what it based its decisions on. Like that's not the world where we want to be. Yeah, and I guess that's my message. Yeah, so I don't know. This was just an example of how we can think about agents in a different way. And personally, for my own happiness and identity as a professional, I want to do something like this. And I already noticed friction with colleagues. Like I could previously like tell Claude to go and review a pull request for me, or even create a pull request. Well, first of all, it could review a pull request and then give its comment, where my colleague is like, what the fuck, man? Like, why are you using an agent? You should review my pull request, right? Or if I made a pull request, I would get like a comment from a colleague of like, so why did you do this? And I didn't know, right? So there has to be a different kind of experience where the agents are helping you make better decisions and still own the thing you're trying to do, the thing you're trying to contribute with, and not kind of take over what you're doing. So yeah, anyways, so that's it. I hope it made sense. It was just for reflection, really. So